You don't get addicted because you're weak. You get addicted because your brain learns too well. Right now, somewhere inside your head, there's a circuit that has been quietly rewritten. Not by choice, not by failure, but by biology. And here's the scary part. Once that circuit is built, your brain will lie to you. It will tell you this thing is survival, that you need it, that stopping is dangerous. That's not a metaphor, that's neuroscience. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how addiction rewires the brain, why willpower alone doesn't work, and how people actually reverse this process without losing their dignity. But first, if this conversation matters to you or someone you love, hit like so this reaches the people who need it. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from? Now let's talk about what's really happening inside your brain. The myth is this: addiction is about pleasure. It's not. Addiction is about relief. Relief from stress, relief from emotional pain, relief from feeling overwhelmed, lonely, numb, or not enough. Inside the brain, addiction hijacks the learning system, the part designed to keep you alive, the part that says, this matters, remember this, do it again. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical, it's the motivation chemical. It teaches the brain what to chase. When a substance or behavior gives relief, dopamine marks it as important. Over time, the brain starts prioritizing that relief over everything else. Emotionally, this process slowly eats away at dignity. People don't lose their values, they lose their sense of control, and that's deeply painful. Day to day, it shows up as broken promises to yourself, missed mornings, shorter patience, a quiet disappointment you don't always talk about. None of that means you're broken, it means your brain adapted very efficiently. I want to ground this in science, but in plain language. As a doctor, I've watched brain scans change over time. I've sat with people who felt hopeless, and later watched them rebuild their lives. The brain is not fixed. It's plastic. It learns. And just as importantly, it can unlearn. Addiction reshapes three major systems in the brain. The reward system becomes hypersensitive, the stress system becomes overactive, and the decision-making system, the prefrontal cortex, becomes quieter. So quitting isn't just a choice, it's a biological uphill walk. That's why white-knuckling so often fails. Let me walk you through the biggest habits and mistakes that quietly keep addiction wired in place. As we go through them, notice which ones feel familiar. Awareness is where power starts. One of the biggest mistakes is relying on willpower as the main strategy. Here's the question most people don't ask. Why does willpower work for diets or routines, but collapse with addiction? Because addiction weakens activity in the prefrontal cortex, the brain's braking system. That's the part responsible for judgment, planning, and self-control. Asking yourself to just stop is like asking a tired muscle to lift more weight. Emotionally, repeated attempts followed by slips damage self-trust. You start believing you can't rely on yourself. That hurts more than the addiction itself. In real life, this looks like cycles. Promises on Monday, slips by Thursday, shame by Sunday. The solution isn't more force, it's more support for the brain. Another quiet driver of addiction is ignoring stress and sleep. Addiction loves exhaustion. When sleep is poor, cortisol, the stress hormone, stays high. High cortisol increases cravings. That's chemistry, not weakness. Emotionally, chronic stress shrinks patience and hope. Everything feels heavier. Small problems feel overwhelming. Practically, this is why cravings spike late at night, during arguments, or after long days. That's not random, that's predictable biology. If no one has told you this before, hear it clearly. Rest is not laziness, it's treatment. Another trap is avoiding emotions instead of learning how to feel them. Addiction teaches the brain a shortcut. Don't feel this, escape it. But emotions that aren't processed don't disappear. They stay active in the nervous system, waiting. Over time, this avoidance disconnects you from yourself. Joy flattens, sadness sharpens, life starts to feel muted. Day to day, this looks like reacting instead of choosing, reaching automatically, regretting later. Recovery isn't about never feeling pain, it's about building tolerance for being human again. Then there's isolation. Ask yourself this: why does addiction get louder when you're alone? Human connection releases oxytocin and balanced dopamine. Isolation does the opposite. The brain looks for substitutes. Emotionally, secrecy feeds shame, and shame feeds addiction. They grow together in silence. Practically, isolation removes mirrors. No one to gently reflect who you are becoming. No one to remind you of your values when your brain is tired. Healing accelerates when even one safe person knows your story. The most dangerous belief of all is this one: this is just who I am now. That belief locks the brain in place. The same neuroplasticity that created addiction can reverse it. The brain rewires based on repetition. That means new patterns, practiced consistently, actually reshape circuits. When people identify as the addiction, hope disappears, and hope is medicine. Practically, this belief stops people from seeking real help, therapy, medical support, community, structure. You are not your habit. You are a person with a brain that learned something under pressure. So what actually helps rewire the brain? Let's keep this realistic. First, stabilize the nervous system before chasing perfection. Sleep, nutrition, gentle movement. These lower cortisol and reduce cravings. Second, replace isolation with safe connection. One person is enough to start. One honest conversation counts. Third, train the brain gradually. Delay urges by minutes, not forever. Small wins teach the brain a new pattern. Fourth, use support that respects biology, therapy, medication when appropriate, groups. There is no prize for suffering alone. And finally, practice self-talk that sounds like a doctor who cares, not a judge. Because the brain listens. If you've struggled longer than you wanted to, let me say this clearly. Nothing about your struggle means you are weak. It means your brain adapted to survive something. Recovery is not linear. Slips are information, not failure. Every attempt teaches the brain something new. Comfort, freedom, and confidence don't arrive all at once. They return quietly, in moments, in mornings that feel slightly lighter. You are not late. You are not broken. You are learning. If this helped you understand yourself or someone you love, share it. Someone out there thinks they're alone. Subscribe if you want more health conversations that respect both science and dignity. And leave a comment. Where are you watching from, and what part of this stayed with you? Remember this, small changes are not small. In the brain, they are signals. Signals that safety is returning. Signals that life can expand again. And that is how healing begins.